Hello everybody, my name is Nate Moore. I'm a member of the Science Department at General McLean High School, and I am beginning my 10th year of teaching at General McLean High School this year. I'm dual certified in both biology and chemistry, and this year I'll have the opportunity to teach classes from both disciplines. This year, as I'm sure we're all aware, is going to be a year like no other. There will be new challenges, but with new challenges come new opportunities to learn and grow in ways that we never thought possible before. So I have no doubt that we'll be learning and growing in these new ways together. For the course, most of what we will do will be on the iPad. In fact, at this point in time, my plan is to conduct 99% of everything that we do on the iPad and distribute and collect all work through Schoology. If the event occurs that I would need to give a hard copy handout, I think that it would be rare this year. So aside from your iPad, you will need a folder just for the miscellaneous handouts that we might come up with from time to time. I would like to begin now with a tour of my classroom and then a brief description of the course that you will be. Here is our classroom. As you can see, it is a laboratory and classroom in one, which makes it very convenient to do experiments. We can fit 12 students, properly socially distanced, in this classroom. And now I'd like to tell you a little bit about the course Energy and You. Before we get into the discussion of each unit, I'd like to just give you an overview of what the class is all about. It is a physical science class, and in it we will discuss different topics from the disciplines of chemistry and physics, all centering around, you guessed it, energy. And we get to do many different hands-on activities throughout the course, and it really is just a nice collection of topics related to energy. In the first unit of Energy and You, we define work in a physics sense because it means something different than what we discuss in our day-to-day lives when we think of work. And we also define the concept of energy, since that is what the class is all about. And we will spend some time working through some basic equations, doing some basic experiments around work and energy, and just really, again, getting our hands on in experiments as much as we possibly can. In the second unit of Energy and You, we get into magnetism, and magnetism is important in a lot of different disciplines. There are magnets in a lot of the inductive chargers nowadays, like on things like smartwatches and other devices. And in a bigger sense, the Earth's own magnetic field is what protects us from different types of solar radiation that might otherwise be harmful. So understanding magnetism and magnetic fields is a really practical piece of knowledge that we can have, and we dive into it in our second unit. In our third unit, we take a look at heat, and this is one of those other places where physics kind of departs from our day-to-day use of the word heat. So in day-to-day life, we might use the word heat just to describe the feel of the air outside. But that would more properly be referred to as temperature. So heat is the actual transfer of energy between a hot object and a cold object. And heat always travels from the hot object to the cold object. So in Unit 3, we will take a look at heat. We will do some experiments involving insulation. I have a project in mind where we will potentially build a house that uses what's called passive solar technology in order to collect the heat from the daytime. And there are houses that actually do this, and then they store the heat, and then you have to burn a lot less in the way of fuel in order to warm your space. So Unit 3 is all about heat. In Unit 4 of Energy and You, we will dive into electricity. We will start with how electricity is generated at an electrical power plant, and then we'll talk about how it's transmitted through the lines, and ultimately how it works to power the devices that we all have come to rely upon on a day-to-day basis. And this unit really provides the basis for the rest of the class. So once we talk about electricity in general, we will dive into other topics related to electricity. In our fifth unit of Energy in You, we will take a look at renewable sources of energy and renewable sources of electricity, like wind and solar electricity. And these new and up-and-coming technologies have some unique challenges associated with them, but there are so many benefits to using them that they're really worth exploring, and we really want to take a look and understand their place in our energy economy and how they function from a technological standpoint so that we can take the most advantage of, again, these new up-and-coming technologies. In the final unit, we take a look at nuclear energy, and we're talking about just nuclear electricity generation at this point. We don't talk about military uses of nuclear technology. Talk about just the civilian uses, and besides civilian power generation, there's also medical technologies that rely upon nuclear processes as well. So we will take a look at civilian applications of nuclear energy in this sixth unit. It's a very fascinating topic, I've come to find, and I really enjoy diving into all the intricacies that are associated with it. After we finish Unit 6, if we have time, or even between some of the units, if there's a particular interest among the class to talk about a particular topic related to energy, we have the flexibility to explore those topics, and in that regard, the students will have some control over how fast the class is paced and where the class actually goes throughout the course of the semester. As I mentioned before, about 99% of the work that we will do this year will be distributed and collected through Schoology. The students are quite familiar with this at this point in time, at least working through the iPad app, but I would like to take a moment to highlight something else that I think will be crucial this year, and that is that if you sign on to Schoology through schoology.generalmcclain.org in a web browser like Safari on the iPad, and I know it seems silly that signing in on Safari versus the app would have any difference, but it actually does. Because when you sign in on a web browser, if I have set an assignment as due and a student wants to check whether or not something was submitted, Schoology has a neat feature, or at least it has in all other years previous, where when you are in a web browser, it will flag overdue assignments in the sidebar for you. So it is another way to stay on top of your work, not only in my class, but in all of the classes that you will take this year. So again, signing on to schoology.generalmcclain.org through a web browser will let you view your overdue assignments. And last but not least, even though we will be using Schoology extensively, PowerSchool will still be the official grade of record. So we need to just make sure that we're both on the same page with that. And if you have any questions at all about grades throughout the course, please ask me. Feel free to ask sooner rather than later. And we will, again, be looking at PowerSchool as the official grade of record. Thanks for taking the time to take the tour of the classroom with me and listen to a little bit more about the course. I'm sure that I have not answered all of your questions about the course at this point, but that's to be expected. If you have any questions at this point in time or throughout the year, I think email is going to be the best way to contact me this year, at least for initial contact, and my email is nathanmoore, NATHANMOORE @generalmcclain.org. And from there, we can correspond through email, or we can arrange a phone call or a virtual meeting to answer any questions or address any concerns that you might have throughout the year. Again, I anticipate this year is going to present us with many challenges, most of which we don't anticipate at this point in time. So together, we will get through this. And in the meantime, Stay safe and all the best to you and your family.